Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is where you're watching this, when you're watching this. My name is Pip Stellick, and I told you I was going to be doing some consistent lease option videos so that you could start to see how to do lease option. And we did a video last night. The one that we did yesterday was what is a lease option? So we're going to take it to the next step today, and we're going to talk about who needs a lease option. So I'm going to ask right up front, please share this with other people. Multiple shares is always a good thing. Please like it, whatever you need to do. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff with our lease option stuff going forward here over the next 20 or 30 days. I'm going to be sharing some 15-minute videos or so on different lease option concepts so that you guys can start to see what lease option is all about. Now, with lease option, we talked about what it was yesterday, and we talked about who needs a lease option. Yesterday, we talked about the fact that we have a lot of people like mortgage brokers and realtors and people like that, who many times what they do is they have people that want to buy a property and for whatever reason can't quite qualify. And so what we want to do is we want to take those people who can't quite qualify and help them get into a property. So who are we looking for? How does this work? And what is the process to do this? So when we look at lease option, as I said, the best place to find and we call them tenant buyers. We'll go through some vocabulary on future videos as well. We call them tenant buyers. The two best places to find your tenant buyers is going to be either from mortgage brokers or realtors. So what we want to do is we want to work with I think the term we like to use is the lowest hanging fruit. A lot of your real estate concepts talk about finding the hidden market, finding people that have a very specific set of situations and circumstances and trying to work to help them out. The nice part about it is you've got literally thousands, tens of thousands of realtors, thousands of mortgage brokers out there, and they always have people who can't quite qualify. Our goal is to make sure these people get into properties because they couldn't do it without us. As I said in our video yesterday, I said, what happens is these mortgage brokers, these realtors have people who are what we call non-qualifiers, who can't quite afford to get into a property. We want somebody who's close but can't quite make it. If you sat down and talked to mortgage brokers or realtors anywhere and everywhere around the country, you're going to find that in many instances, these people are everywhere. You can find them anywhere and everywhere as you see this. Now, as I said yesterday, I'm not going to be doing a lot with the chat box, but I love it when you guys make comments in there. I went back yesterday and answered every one of the comments that I had in there. So if you have comments, make them. If you have questions, either put them in there or send them in my personal messenger, whatever you want to do. I want to make sure you guys understand the process. Multiple reasons I want you to understand the process. First of all, for you to do your own lease options. Secondly, for you to have somebody else who, meaning somebody like me who's been doing this a long time, can help you guys show your realtors, your mortgage brokers how this process works. So it's an important process in this, and that you can start to see that other people, you can help other people get into properties, help other realtors, mortgage brokers close more deals. And so we're not going to take the business that they already can do. So if a realtor or mortgage broker can qualify somebody, that's fine. We don't want to work with that person. We want to work with the non-qualifiers, as we said last night. So what are some reasons people would need a lease option? Reasons for lease option. First reason is going to be money or lack thereof. Money for let's say a down payment would probably be the most common one. Down payment or a deposit on a property. If somebody lacks the money to get into a property, there's no way that they're going to be able to get into it. Now, what's a couple of other reasons? I list all kinds of different reasons as I go through it, and I train this all around the world. I'm going to do the top 4 reasons right now. Second reason I see on a regular basis is credit issues. People that have credit issues. Third reason people can't quite qualify to get into a property that need a lease option are going to be self-employed people. And the fourth reason we see where people need lease options are going to be new immigrants. So let's go through these four issues and kind of explain them. Now, we could add to this. We could actually put in there probably downsized, people that have been downsized, people that have been divorced, people who've had a medical hardship. Could be a lot of different things there. So obviously, we can start to see a lot of different scenarios where people would need a lease option. And so first of all, let's talk about money, down payment. When you go to buy a property, the lender, the bank, or the mortgage broker, whatever you want to use, they're going to require money down on a property. Now, statistically, historically, we've seen that most times that you got to put it down about 20% on a property, 20% down on a property. Now, that may sound like a crazy amount of money. Even if you're buying a $100,000 property, if you're buying a $500,000 property, that's a significant amount of cash. And so the average person doesn't have that saved up. The average person probably doesn't have that amount. Now, the cool part about it is there's a lot of programs out there where you can get in for as little as 2 or 3% down, 3.5% down, different types of program. If you're a vet, you can get a VA loan for no money down, but obviously that doesn't encompass everybody. And for those guys that are looking at getting an FHA mortgage, they're going to require 3.5% down. The problem with an FHA mortgage, the problem with some of those loan products is that you need to have a really good credit score. So you may fail at the money down, but you have good credit, so you can get into one of those types of properties. If you have both of these issues, now we've got a situation where you don't have enough money to put down and you got a credit issue on top of that. I've seen clients in situations like this where they have all of the issues, and you could throw in a divorce, a downsizing, and a medical issue. And what do they say? Bad things happen to good people all the time. So with the lease option, we may have to deal with one or more of these issues. And so we could even put in, I think somebody's typing into the chat box, bad landlords. People don't wake up in the morning. The American dream, as we call it, is not being a renter. For most people, their dream is home ownership. A lease option is literally a bridge between being a renter and owning a property. That's why it's called rent to own. We called it rent to own yesterday on our training. And so we're trying to figure out now, who are these people? What kind of problems do they have? And how do I solve them as the investor? So as we look at this, money is one major issue. One of the things that we can do is we can actually charge premium rent. I'm going to abbreviate a couple things down here, but you should be able to understand it. Tenant buyers will pay, and I'm going to just keep it simple, premium rents. And those rents could be anywhere from 10 to 40% above fair market rent. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are asking, well, how come they would do that? Because they're going to have the option to buy the property. Make note of this as you're watching these, and you can watch them over and over again. A tenant buyer has the option, but not the obligation to buy. The tenant buyer has the option, but not the obligation to buy. So the actual tenant buyer is in control of this. So the tenant buyer has the option, but not the obligation. On top of that, why will they pay premium rents? Because we're going to help them get into the house they want to get into right now. Do most people, when they want to get into a property, say, oh, I'd like to get into my dream house in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? No, when do most people want to get into the property that they want? They want to get into it now. And so in that situation, what they're doing is they want to get into the property now. And if they want to get into the property now, what's happening is we want to get them in and we want to help them get qualified sooner rather than later. So if money is their issue, we can get into their property right now. We're going to charge them a little bit of premium rent, meaning they don't have enough money for the down payment. So we can take a little bit of that extra rent that we're getting and put it towards their down payment. In some places, they call this rent credits. Now, with that being said, if we are putting them into the property, we can start reporting all their payments so that the credit bureau can see that their credit score is going to start getting raised. Another important part of this is we charge them a little bit more money every month. That's going to help them get qualified. That's going to help them get qualified to buy the property. What do we mean by that? It's so important that we understand this is with our credit issues, what does a lender want to see? A lender wants to see over the course of time that somebody can make the monthly payment. They want to see that they have the ability to pay the mortgage every month. They're not paying a mortgage right now. They're paying rent. And if they're paying rent, what does that mean? That means that they are showing the lender that they can afford X amount of dollars per month. If they can show the lender that they can afford X amount of dollars per month, when they go to qualify to get the mortgage, that's going to show the lender that they are a good credit risk. Now, the issue with both money and credit issues, it's going to take a little bit of time. I said yesterday, most of your lease options are going to be 1, 2, 3 year types of deals. These are not overnight success stories. Just like anything that really is worth it in life, it's going to take a little bit of work by you and by the tenant buyer to get things going. It's also going to take some work by the mortgage professional to help them get qualified to buy the property. So in this situation, what we start to see is they're going to need a little time, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. So we can help them build their credit over time. We can help them save up for a down payment. This is my favorite group of people when it comes to needing lease options, is these self-employed people. Because as a self-employed person, what you're finding out is you do everything you possibly can to lower your income, not lower your income, increase your expenses so that you can put that against your income and pay lower taxes. That's a great thing to do as a self-employed person, is to use what they call write-offs. You make X amount of dollars, you get to expense off all this stuff, and then you pay taxes on this amount. So you made this, you expensed all the stuff in the middle here, and this is what you pay taxes on. So you pay less taxes. All I can say is congratulations. But what you've done is created a different problem for yourself when it comes to qualifying for a mortgage. You did everything you possibly could to make as much money as you could. Then you did everything legally to lower your income from a tax standpoint through write-offs. Now, when the bank is looking at you and trying to lend you money, when the mortgage broker is trying to get you a loan, what they're saying is, you can't get qualified, Mr. Self-Employed Person, Miss Self-Employed Person. And you go, wait a minute, I make this much. There should be no problem for me to qualify for a mortgage of this amount. Yeah, but this is what you show. Yeah, but this is what I make. Mr. Lender says this is what you show, and they determine based on that, what you show, how much money they're going to loan you. So it's imperative you start to see that you can do everything you can possibly do to lower your income from a tax standpoint, and it's going to come up and bite you in the assets when you go to borrow money for a property. So self-employed people, what we do is we can get them into the house they want to get into now. When do people want to get in their property? Now. They don't want to wait 3 years, 5 years. We get them into the property they want to get into now. We do that for a 1, 2, 3, 4 year period. And as they start to work on getting qualified, in this instance, they would have to show a little more income for the next 1, 2, or 3 years. And then what's going to happen is they're going to eventually get qualified after a period of time. The other thing with self-employed people is if somebody just became self-employed, even if they're making a boatload of money right now, even if they're just making all kinds of money, it's going to be 2 years minimum, 2 years of history that the lender's going to want to see before they'll get a loan. So even if they're making a boatload of money and they just started their business, no matter what they do, lender's going to say, we need 2 years of history. We need 2 years of history before we will give you a loan on that property. So this is a great way to get these guys and these ladies into property sooner rather than later. New immigrants come to our country. And to come to our country legally, most immigrants have to have significant or at least a little bit of cash. You can't come here without money. And so what happens is if you're coming here legally, you've got to have funds. And the problem is a new immigrant can come over to the U.S. and have plenty of money, but they have no credit. If you think having bad credit's a problem, having no credit's an even bigger issue. And so what we have to understand is a tenant buyer will pay premium rents because we give them all these benefits. And I'm going to write this down so you understand it. The tenant buyer has control. They have Tenant buyer has the obligation. I said that wrong. Tenant buyer has the option. After I wrote it, I saw that, but not the obligation to buy. Tenant buyer has the option, but not the obligation to buy. Now, I'm sure there's some of you guys out there, because everywhere I go, I find negative people. I said that last night. I was talking about that, and it's quite funny. Tenant buyer has the option, but not the obligation to buy. There's going to be some of you guys going, well, what if they don't buy? So on our next video, we're going to talk about what the downside is, if there is downsides to you as the investor doing a lease option. So we're going to keep going through these types of videos, 15 minutes at a chunk, just like that, so you guys can start to see how the lease option program works. Towards the middle to end of December, you're going to see some other stuff that we're going to be working on. First week of January, we're going to get you guys going on some more intense lease option training. So we're going to have a lot of fun over that time frame. I'm going to ask you again, please share this. Please comment on it whenever you're watching it. It's amazing to me how I put these videos out there, and by the next day, there's hundreds and hundreds of views on it. That's pretty cool to me, because I can't imagine anybody would like to listen to this stuff. I get a lot of people telling me, Pip, you need to put this content out there, let people know what you got, what you've been doing over the life or in your life with all your training. So I've had the opportunity to teach this stuff for basically 15 years all around the world. And now with the whole new virtual world that we have, we're coming to you live on a regular basis with information on lease options. So please share the video with people. Go to if you guys could do me a favor, like the Facebook page that I have. The reason I ask you to do that is because apparently you can only have so many friends. And I don't know how that all works, but I want to make sure that as many people that want to see this as can. I know I got lots of friends on Facebook that I probably never contact, or, don't contact me. That's the world of Facebook, I guess. And so also go to my YouTube channel, and these will be downloaded on there. So as I've said, every time I've ever been on one of these Facebook Live videos, turn to somebody you know, somebody you don't know, turn to them and say, you're going to be all right. Have a great day, guys.